Hello, adventurers. My name is Maximus, and I'll be your dungeon master for the evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the 18th episode of Campaign 2 of Caches and Cantrips, where some of your favorite streamers play Dungeons & Dragons live on Friday nights. I'm joined by a portion of our amazing cast. Nina Nikolic, Virtual Spectre, and moves like Jagger from the GG and crew. Mac is traveling, and Bun is not feeling well, so let's all wish Mac safe travels and Bun well wishes. I forgot the phrase in my mind. What's that?
Swift recovery.
And Bun, a happy birthday.
It's not.
No, it's not.
I paused. I almost said like safe wishes and well travels, which I guess works, but
Safe yeets and well mets.
Yeah, all that. Anyway, a couple of things. We're creeping up to 3,900 plays on our podcast, which is almost 4,000. So we're getting there.
I'm gonna count it.
You're gonna count it?
Yeah, round up.
Okay. Only like 150 to go, so it's fine. Aside from that, I know that streams have been a little on and off. Bun and I had some things going on, but that's okay. So we're gonna get back on track here soon enough. Don't know what that accent was, but it happened. That's where my brain's at today.
It's convention season too, so We've had like a few conventions. I think there was like a VidCon. There was like 2 PAXs.
There's a TwitchCon coming up. So the best thing that you can do is just
and a BlizzCon.
Yeah, there's a BlizzCon. That's true. So just go to our Discord and join it, and then you can know when is happening, what is happening, and when. That's what you can do, and you can know when is happening too, I guess, if you really want to. So yeah, discord.gg/ yeah. /casters and cantrips. Yeah. And even how it's happening.
Nice.
Well, just choose whichever one. Anyway, aside from that, our regularly scheduled programming are Mondays, Tome of Knowledge at 6 p.m. Pacific. Tuesday, our art streams at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thursdays for podcast and YouTube only is Out of Combat, our little behind the scenes show. And of course, Friday nights, where you are right now. Or if you're in the future, where we were then. Friday nights at 6 p.m. Live on the streams. So, the end, I guess. I can't think of anything else to say at the moment. We have some other news. Yeah, we have some other news, but we're not ready yet. So you'll get that news in the future.
Do I know that news?
Some of it.
Oh, that's exciting. Can't wait.
Some of it.
Can't wait to find out what I know.
Let me cook. Let me cook. I love that phrase, by the way. I don't know why, but I love it. Anyway, aside from that, if you want to get early access to our podcast and some other super special things, you can join our Patreon. We also have unique rewards on our higher tiers of our YouTube subscription, as well as Twitch. So, and if you really want to support us, YouTube gives us more money than Twitch, and Patreon gives us the most. So I say that they give us the most, but they take away the least from us. So definitely go check out those platforms. But with that being said, I think we're ready to jump into tonight's episode of Casters and Cantrips. Our story last left off with the crew of the Unfortunate setting sail on their multi-day journey to the city-state of Escos in search of some necessary components for spell scrolls that they needed created. After a few days of sailing in the pinnacle depths, the Unfortunate was caught in a torrential storm at sea. The crew battened down the hatches and attempted to wait out the poor weather. However, nature had other plans. The ship was attacked by water elementals while being assailed by a waterspout that had formed in the area. However, the crew was able to defeat the creatures while avoiding the wrath of the tornado at sea. Eventually, the storm cleared, and the Unfortunate set sail again. A few days later, the party encountered some flotsam on the surface. No jetsam. The group fished out a rum bottle with papers shoved inside of it, and these papers appeared to be the musings and scrawlings of some traveler who had gone mad. The writing spoke of names such as the Great Magus, Conjurer Mystique, the Weaver Arcane, and the Threader Sorcerer. A common motif of thread and weaving were written throughout the located pages. After a couple more days at sea, the crew members of the Unfortunates began to believe that the ship's bell was cursed. Several of the crew refused to touch the object and would not use it even if the need arose. After some persuasion from the party, the morale loss of leaving the cursed bell on board was minimized. And ultimately, the Unfortunate continued onward and eventually made their way to the city-state of Escos, the birthplace and former home of Azric Silvertide. And that is where we will begin our episode this evening, as the Unfortunate is sailing into Dusk Harbor, the busy port of Escos.
Tea, anyone?
Yeah, we're about to disembark, Cootie.
Well, you can have one to go, I suppose.
Very well. Delicious. Well, we
First
made
on
it
the
here.
agenda, Captain.
Well, let's see. How many more moons until the full moon?
I believe if I just check my notes, which I have in front of me momentarily.
It is currently the 16th of Quintus, which is Moon Day.
I believe it's 2 more sleeps.
Indeed.
Well, perhaps maybe a tour is in order now that we have returned to my humble home.
Oh, yes, I can't wait to learn all about it. I've heard so much in my time around all the traders and things back on whence I came in Oshamaran.
Well, Cootie, we have an extensive library, renowned for its research. We are here at the Dusk Harbor, where all of commerce happens, and trade, merrymaking, all that. And then, of course, we have the church and all of that stuff that I really don't want to get into. The quarter district where I frequent as a young lad.
Do we know, do we, or do you, I suppose it is your homeland, know where we can actually get the silver tongue blossom? Because we have 2 days to find it, but I dare say I don't believe we know the exact place we need to be at.
Well, I do know that it's usually tied in ceremony during the full moon, as it is a sacred day to us here on Escos. So I'm not sure. Maybe the garden? And so long since I've been here.
Maybe we should check out the
DM?
library and maybe they have some information.
So for the flower that you all are looking for, the silver tongue blossom, Azric, you know that they are sort of given as offerings to the Lotus King during the ceremonies of the full moon. In Escos, though, they are solely cultivated by the former order that had taken you in as a young child, known as the Order of the Lotus Robes. They are in charge of cultivating and sort of taking care of these precious plants, as they're pretty fragile. The chances of you finding one in the wilds, slim to none, as they are, think of like that house plant that's just a pain in the ass to keep alive and it constantly needs attention. They're like that.
That's a vibe.
Or in my case, all plants. But
That's why you go with succulents, man.
I won't. I know. I kill those. They're not. No.
If only if it was that easy.
yeah, just get a
Oh,
fake one.
those and peace lilies.
So would they be at the Garden of Equilibrium?
The Garden of Equilibrium is going to be sort of a botanical garden in the Zenith Gardens district. But that's not necessarily there. Where they do this are going to be at the... One moment, please. The Twilight Sanctum. So you've got the large cathedral. You also have sort of this monastic order attached to the cathedral, and which is there where they do all of the cultivating and all that stuff.
This will not be an easy task. It will be at the Twilight Sanctum, and usually the new moon brings a lot of attention. So we're going to have to deal one.
Well, shit.
I mean,
Shit,
Well,
indeed. Okay.
much of a rush, are we? I mean,
Well, you
Perhaps
are
you
a
can,
sneaky boy, are you not?
I can find my way around, sure. But
Hmm.
Well-
maybe a tour of some of the city. Get the lay of the land for those of us who've never been here. I mean, the only thing I know about this place is from school books when I was a child, but
And rumors.
rumors, but never really spent time here myself.
Question, DM.
Yes.
How much have this place changed since I've last been here?
That's a
When I
good
was
question.
lad?
That's a very
That's
good
a great
question.
question.
I suppose some of that will unfold as you explore the city, but as far as like first glance, the buildings are still there that you remember. Nothing is like dramatically changed in that time period. More than likely, things that could change would be like positions that are held by people, maybe certain counselors of individual districts might be different than from when you were here last, like that kind of stuff. But general architecture, not really.
Yeah.
Another note from your friendly DM is that members of the Order of Lotus Robes are allowed to have those flowers, the Silver Tongue Blossom. So they are allowed to have them. They can carry them. They can, do as they wish with them. You being sort of a former member, potentially you could leverage that, but you're not exactly practicing anymore. So take with that what you will.
Excellent. Well, since we're here, this is the Dusk Harbor. So this is where we are. Well, this is where our tour shall begin.
It's gorgeous. Okay. Harbor.
So
Continue.
the terrain, as you're looking in the Dusk Harbor, has very diverse landscapes. So there are lush gardens, rocky cliffs, some along the coast. There are interesting sort of things about this city is that there are, it's sort of a delta of 3 separate rivers that all sort of come together and then empty out into the sea here, or the pinnacle depths. So in this particular area, let me find the names of these rivers. I have so much fucking notes on these things, and they're all in different places. That's okay. But yeah, it is a basically a connection of all these three rivers that are coming in. And with that, there are a lot of interesting locales here. So the Dusk Harbor is also home to something that is known as the Drift, which is sort of a bustling, floating bazaar in Dusk Harbor. So with Escos being one of the closest places that was kind of ripped apart by the catastrophe, a lot of the lands are fractured. So similarly to what happened where it created the Pinnacle Depths, a lot of just little tributaries and waterways just naturally occurred as the continent was just ripped to pieces. So there's an entire floating market that is in this district. And the three rivers are the Silvershine, the Moonshadow, and the Abyssal Flow.
It's very ominous.
They sound really pretty. This wasn't a tropical environment, was it? I remember you saying last time, like for my brain to make associations, it reminded me a little bit of like the Nightborn area in WoW.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of how is what the thing that my brain saw when you were describing it.
Let me refresh my memory on that area.
I can't remember what it was called.
That's okay. Yeah, so general like flora and fauna. There's quite a bit of like flora that is just will naturally like glow as well. Sort of emitting a gentle, like almost ethereal glow in the area. As far as architecture, there's a lot of like opalescent like facades, and then the towers, the towering structures sort of have like silvery pearl-like materials, some of which will have some sort of light source at the top. A lot of sort of silvers and blues and that sort of stuff. So it is a tropical landscape, like most of the continent is.
Okay. Cool. Just taking some notes.
Yeah.
Taking some notes.
Take it in.
Well, if anyone needs to do shopping, we're heading towards the Drift, where most of commerce happens. Where you can find all sorts of knickknacks and gizmos and what have you.
Knickknacks and paddywhacks?
That's right, yeah.
I don't believe I'm in need of anything in particular.
Hayden, I recall you went to visit the shop quite often over on our, let's just call it our nameless island.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly well stocked on most of the items that I tend to use. Maybe, I don't know, find some place to sell some things, maybe. Carrying some items I might like to offload.
Well, is this the place to do it?
And I'm sure we'll find something interesting here. This place is quite grand, isn't it?
It is a beautiful city, yes. If we are looking to find a place to make camp, there's a local inn that we can stay at.
What have they got to eat?
Might as well if we're going to be here for some time.
Yes. We should at least acquaint ourselves.
Then shall we head over to Silver's Embrace Tavern?
Oh, yes.
That's
Lead the way,
Go
Captain.
ahead, DM.
Yeah, so Silver's Embrace Tavern is located in the Dusk Harbor area, which makes sense, where most people traveling will come into the city there. It's a pretty popular destination, definitely not too extravagant, pretty modest as far as their pricings and such. Yeah, you can definitely make your way over there if you would like.
Yeah.
So you
Somewhere to put all of our bits and pieces. It has been a long sail.
Right.
So
Well,
go ahead.
Let's be off.
So you make your way over to Silver's Embrace Tavern. I'm typing a lot of stuff, so
Yeah, you're all
apologies.
good. I wasn't
Apologies.
sure if you were still waiting on me.
No. Yeah, we're all good. So you make your way over to Silver's Embrace Tavern. So it's a very cozy tavern. It's known for like its nightly, like moonlit celebrations. People kind of coming out in the evening and being a little rambunctious outside. There's a nice like drinking, like almost think of like a patio area on the back side of it. Quite a large plot for just like a tavern and inn. People will usually go out in that evening and kind of under the stars and the moonlight and such.
Oh.
Yeah, and then when you make your way inside, you can see the local, the barkeep, who is a middle-aged half-elf woman with sort of warm brown eyes, and she has sort of this long blonde, like very light-colored, almost to the point where it's almost like silver, but very light-colored blonde hair. And the place is sort of hopping at this point. There's various travelers, merchants, take your pick of people that are just stopping through, here and there. And you can see in sort of one of the back corners of the tavern, there is a person there wearing amazing looking armor. It's sort of a polished steel plate with these midnight blue painted accents with sort of silver filigree built into the plate. And their back is turned to you, and you can see probably a small crowd of like 8 to 10 people that seem kind of enraptured with what they have to say. They're sort of gesticulating, almost giving like an oration to these people. You can see sort of a flowing blue cape coming off of the armor as well. And you can see that on this cape is a silver lotus flower with 6 petals. And in the center of it, there is a radiant sunburst at the center of this sort of emblem. Azric, you immediately know this is a member of the Elysian Watch.
Do I see any identifying marks of rank?
From what you can see, you're not entirely sure if this person is a watcher or maybe a guardian, sort of the middle of the ranks of those. There are others. You can see there's another person standing beside them, sort of wearing more modest armor, not quite the resplendency of the person that's speaking. You would kind of clock that person as probably an initiate if you had to guess. This initiate is a sort of bronze-scaled dragonborn, sort of listening intently on the side and sort of watching everything that this other person says. Getting a closer look at this person, you can see a sort of silver long hair pulled into a ponytail, and then you see the sort of characteristic dark skin of a dark elf as she is speaking to this group of people.
Gonna listen on in.
Yeah, Cooter's like wandering over, like, I wonder what they're talking about. It looks really interesting. She's got like her little flagon, just like a sip and listen story time.
I think
Super listen story time. Go ahead.
Hayden will probably wander over to the bar and order a drink while they're going to eavesdrop.
Yeah. So
And
as
just
you
kinda
all
watch from a distance.
Yeah, perfect. So as you all are listening in to this member of the Elysian Watch, she's sort of speaking to this group of people. Now, our order will absolutely take anyone. So if you have need, if you are willing to join our order, then you are more than welcome. Of course, you'll start as an initiate and work your way up the ranks. We do not care about creed or birthright or whoever you are. You are more than welcome to join us. However, only the highest ranks of the order do demand that you accept the Lotus King, and then you pledge to be a warrior in his honor. But there's still room to grow for all of you. Now, we have but one purpose for the Elysian Watch, and that is we are its guardians. Anything from an extraplanar realm, it is our duty to protect the citizens and everyone else on this plane. Now, it is quite a lofty responsibility, but we bear it well. Now, we also perform other duties, as you can expect. Well, we have our archivists, who are the stewards of the Zenith Archive. We do many outreach opportunities for the community. We try and instill young and impressionable children here of duty, respect, and things of those sort. So, if you are, well, willing to join, we will be happy to have you. And then you see probably like 4 or 5 people in the crowd like just start clapping and like, ah, and like enamored by this woman's speech.
Poor bastards. I have no idea what they're signing up for.
What are they signing up for?
Servitude to a false god.
Dare you to call bullshit?
I'd rather not draw attention to myself, Kuda.
No,
And-
that's a fair point.
As you're sort of hovering and listening in, then the crowd's starting to disperse. There's probably like the 4 or 5 are staying and talking to this member of the Elysium Watch. Everyone else is sort of dispersing, you know, just was enjoying the story. They have their own stuff they have to do. They're not going to give up their life and go join some random order. Maybe they're travelers, maybe they're a merchant and just wanted to hear a fun story. And you see the initiate sort of sees the other member have everything in hand and goes to walk over to the bar to grab something for himself. And you, Azric, immediately recognize this initiate as someone that you grew up with in the care of the Order of the Lotus Robes, one of many orphaned children that was taken in by them when no one else would. And this person is Zilijarn, Dragonborn. Nice little fella. Yeah, I'll give you a spelling here. I'll copy pasta that for you. Zilijarn. Xylijarn.
Clearly spelled it a different way.
It's okay. And as this person's notices you noticing them, if that makes sense, we'll jump over to Hayden now as you step up to the bar here and look for some drinks. And you can see the barkeep here, this half elfin woman, just kind of keeping pace. It's a little busy, but she's got it well in hand. What can I get you, sir?
Just a cold tankard of rum, if you won't mind.
I suppose I could do that. You sure you don't want any whiskey?
I mean, I'm no stranger to it. Why not?
Up to you.
We'll do
well.
whiskey now. Maybe rum a bit later.
Just giving you a bit of a heads up. All the rum that we get is what's imported, so it kind of varies what we get. We don't make it here, so just a little heads up. Drink local. It's better.
Right. So whiskey it is then.
And she comes back and gets you basically on the rocks. 2 silver.
I slide her the coins.
Yep. If you need anything else, let me know. We've got food. We've got drink. Looking for anything particular, I'd be happy to let you know.
Right. I'm sure we'll be ordering plenty of drinks. Are there any rooms available in this place?
One moment. And she sort of goes and grabs like a large ledger and starts flipping through pages. Yeah, we do have 2 left. I'm not sure how many you may need, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can always consult with my mates. I'll return in a moment.
all right. Better hurry up before they're gone. Busy night. Almost the full
Okay.
moon and all.
I guess I'll just join Azric and Kuda then, whatever they're doing.
Yeah. And then as you sort of come over and they're listening to the speech and it's being broken up, and then that's when you, Azric sort of locks eyes with Zilajarin and same. So we'll go back to that as you join them. How does Azric feeling at this point? He hasn't seen this person since you were a little tyke.
I think I'm overcome with nostalgia, and I don't exactly want to draw attention to myself, so I kind of dart my eyes away, trying to avoid eye contact.
Mm-hmm. And there's this awkward moment where you look away, and the person knows that you looked away. Like it's that awkward moment, and you remember Zilajarn as sort of pretty reserved young child, and it appears that his current profession may have shaken some of that off, and he sort of directly approaches you, doesn't make a scene, and he goes, excuse me, I think I may know you.
Oh, you must be mistaken. I have one of those faces, that everyone seems to think I look like someone else.
Mm-hmm. And you see,
You
sort
do
of,
have one of those faces. It's true. Kuda's starting to get a little bit tipsified.
and you can see, like his bright golden eyes, just looking. He's like, right. It's like gives you like a really like a close glance.
I get like flushed, and I'm like, excuse you, sir.
Sorry. Little Azric. Is that you?
That name. Very low. Zildjian.
Are you ashamed of who you are? I mean, look at you. You look great. I'm very happy for you.
Well, thank you. I see you have taken the cloth.
Not I have. Come here. And he like wraps his big dragonborn hands around you and gives like a warm hug to you. And like it's like that friend that squeezes like just a little bit too much, but is really genuinely happy to see you.
Jared,
I'm sorry.
oh,
Well, I mean,
even as when we were children, you didn't understand your own strength.
that is true. It is quite true. I well, not exactly joined the cloth as the Lotus robes were kind to me. It wasn't my calling in life. But the watch really trying to do some good. Yeah. Really trying.
Well, that is very great for you, yes.
Have you been by the sanctum? I'm sure people would love to hear from you.
Oh, I rather wish people did not know I was here.
I see. Well, it's none of my business. I'm glad you're all right. I mean, one day you were there and another day you were gone. I was worried that your ailments had, But look at you.
As you can see, I'm doing quite well. I'm still scrawny and thin as a stick, but I'm much healthier.
As I can see, you really
You've
are.
been working out.
It's
coming along a little bit.
Have you?
Zildjian, this is my companion, Kuta, and
Good day.
my shipmate, Hayden.
Good sir, my lady, pleasure to meet you. Any friends of Azric is, friends of mine.
Let me buy you a drink. I would love to catch up and know what's going on around here. I mean, I'm sure things are very busy, seeing how the full moon is in 2 days.
You're too kind. I was headed over there just myself, but I'm more than happy to accept free drinks, so.
Excellent. Barkeep, a round of drinks and some stew, please.
And she looks up. All right, very, very well.
I have 2 rooms available. Will we be needing both?
Yeah, I believe we should take those.
Right. Well, sounds like we'll be taking your last rooms then.
Right. I'm just gonna run you a tab. That sounds
like
good.
This one. And I point to Azra.
Right.
The captain's tab.
And you're like yelling across the room. And there's like 4 other people around, like the bar, and she's just like, "You're opening a tab, and I'm gonna write this shit down, and I'm gonna tell you how much you owe later," kind of thing. So I will tabulate all of that and let you all know how much monions you're gonna owe. And gotcha. Okay, so she gets that order in, and you can find a table to sit down at, and Zildjian is sort of towering over all of you with his sort of his large dragonborn frame, sort of almost looks out of place at sort of the normal size table where you all. He's much wider than you. So I just can't believe I thought I'd never see you again, Azric. The Lotus King has really blessed you. You are so lucky, my friend. So lucky.
Yes. I guess you could say that.
He looks to Hayden and to Cooter. This one here is touched by the Lotus King himself, bestowed in him the power of the great deity. It's fascinating.
Oh, that is not what I thought
because-
originally.
Still, John, it's not as exciting as you make it out to be. It's all right.
Sorry.
Well, that's marvelous. I didn't realize you had all of that in you. Very exciting.
But so John, please be up to speed. What has happened? It's all. I mean, it's been well over a decade. What has been going on?
Well, I mean, after I became of age, I did sort of odd jobs for the Order of the Lotus Robes. Didn't formally join them, but I think they sort of wanted to make sure I landed on my feet. Did that for quite a while. Just sort of yearned for something more in my life, and let me tell you, I personally witnessed the Dawn give one of his orations, and I was sold at that moment. Just seeing him and his devotion, his fervor, and his passion, it just makes you want to follow someone like that.
Azric's trying really hard not to wince,
Mm-hmm.
and just like, oh right, the Dawn, and how's the Dawn doing?
Well,
Kinda
I
like-
mean,
Hold my disdain.
yes, High Warden Alarion is, of course, the youngest High Warden ever ascended in the Watch, and he's doing a fantastic job. But between you and me, there's a bit of friction between the Watch and the Council. It's tricky business.
Fiction, you say? Spill the teas, old John.
Well, the council is wanting to sort of, for lack of a better word, they're trying to conscript the Watch to supplement where the Guard is lacking. That's just not our mission. And while we do love the community and we want to help, they want us to take up arms, and they fear for an invasion. There's been rumors of Tess has been sort of getting a lot of shipments of arms as of late, and you well know that every piece of land that they had taken. And it's only natural for them to want to expand. So, I don't know if the council is just creating excuses, but there's a bit of tension.
They're asking to watch more than is required.
Exactly. They have made the incorrect assumption that the Watch is there for their bidding, which we are most certainly not.
Your service to the people, to protect the well-being of all the citizens here in Escos.
Indeed. But the squabbling of this plane is, well, not quite as important as those dangers from beyond.
And what of Sister Jacinda?
Well, after you, I'll say, left this point, under whatever circumstances, she held herself personally responsible. It honestly hit her hard that everything that she had tried, the might of, well, the knowledge of the Order of the Lotus Robes, and couldn't, well, cure you. She considered that a personal failure, and last I heard, she had, well, relinquished her duties and is, well, I don't know what she's doing now.
Oh, that's terrible news. I mean, it wasn't her fault. She was not the cause of why I could not be cured of my ailment.
We took it that way, and I think she had a bit of a crisis of faith in those hard years, so it's difficult to live by the teachings if you are questioning them.
You know where she is? Where she stays now?
I can only guess. Admittedly, I could have reached out. I could have tried to find her, but I did not want to intrude. And if she wanted to separate herself from the Order, who am I to try and force myself back into her life? So,
I mean, she practically raised us. Wouldn't hurt to let her know how you're doing and that you still care about her.
Which is why I wanted to respect her decisions, Azric. I mean, I can only guess. You know that she... her specialties were in herbalism and alchemy, apothecary sort of thing, so maybe she continued to do that elsewhere. I don't know. But...
Can you do me a favor? An old friend you help me find her. I want her to know that I'm alive and I'm well, and that she didn't fail.
I suppose I could do that. Is there any way that I could reach you if I do find her, or I'm assuming you'll be staying here for the duration of your visit?
Yes, I will be in this tavern here. And if we are not here, you could find me on my ship.
Which is?
The Unfortunate.
I get it. It's clever.
Oh, thank the gods. I had to explain it.
No, I understand.
That's why we were so close as children, Zildjian.
Yes,
but you understand, right? Like, because
right, because if someone comes across the ship, it's unfortunate because it's such a well defended.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it's as defended as one can get it, I suppose.
So you've taken to the merchant life. You're. I mean, that's just sort of I wouldn't say a dwindling profession. I mean, pirates and the sword. I mean, every ship has to be well armed now or have an escort, and it's just becoming a dangerous business. But you are persevering, delivering goods to those that need them.
Most
very
definitely,
commendable.
Yes.
I mean,
sometimes we ship goods, but we're more of mercenaries for hire.
Oh, I see. Doing the defending. Now I get full circle. Maybe I could introduce you to the. I mean, some of our shipments of our sort of herbal remedies have been. I mean, a decent portion of them have not made it to the destinations. So, I mean, if you could help in those regards, I mean, the waters are dangerous, the pirates are prolific, and I mean, who are they to take medicines and things that people who need them?
Oh, how dare they? Yes.
It's despicable.
Disgusting behavior. Medicine should be available to everybody.
For free.
Yes, what I always say.
Well, tell me about you all. I mean, you're obviously have your own ship that defending the merchants and such and for hire. I mean, what about you two? You are. I mean, are you sailors? Are you merchants? Or
I research. I'm a researcher. That's why I joined Azric. We found each other somewhere. Can't remember, so long ago. Anyway, so I heard he told me that there are so many places to see here where I can learn some stuff for my research, like the museum and the library.
Oh,
I
yes.
just have so many notes to take.
She's our ship's scholar, if you will.
That is so unique.
Scholar
so
and
cultured.
healer at your service. As she tries to like do a little bow and then kind of like stumbles a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say that the Lotus Luminarium is quite an exquisite museum of artifacts of old. There are even artifacts and things that predate the catastrophe. Can you believe that?
We must go and see it. We have a whole day tomorrow for sightseeing, so can we go?
Kuda,
Yeah.
you were interested in, what was some sort of plant that only grows here, right?
Oh yes, the silver tongue bosom blossom. Yes.
That's the one.
Of course, it's no secret that the Order of the Lotus Robes, they cultivate and use it for offerings for the Lotus King every full moon cycle. Of course,
But they allow her to study there.
Oh, I would love to take a look.
Well, that's a bit outside of my purview in the Watch. I mean, Azric knows
it's above
plenty in the
you,
Order.
I understand.
Well, it's more of a separation of concerns. I don't want to abuse my history that I had with the Order of the Lotus Robes, right? I mean, it's not very honorable of me to do. Now, Azric, well, was once on the verge of joining, and I mean, maybe he could rekindle some old connections there, but only the Order are allowed to cultivate and, of course, possess. Maybe something can be worked out, but it's not something that I would want to get in the middle of because I don't want to abuse my privilege of my position, even though I am just an initiate. But still, I mean, children look up to us. What would that say to them?
What, a
Think of the children.
flower? All that for a flower?
Well, that's quite a
sorry.
sacred...
I'm new here. Don't know the customs.
Right.
We're all learning, that's why I take notes.
Yeah, I mean, you're very well learned. Maybe I could introduce you to another initiate who's working her way to be an archivist. She doesn't...
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, maybe she could show you around the Zenith Archive. Amazing structure. Amazing.
Oh, yes, please.
If you could, you would honor us.
I have a question for you.
Of course.
Who's the striking lass with all that fine gear?
Oh. Watch Nixara.
She is what? Your boss?
Well, she is a Watcher. That is the position directly below the Master Archivist and the High Warden. They are, of course, paladins of the Lotus King himself, bestowed with his power.
Do paladins drink?
On occasion.
Well, why don't you bring her over?
Whoa, hey, Andrew.
What? This is a reunion of sorts, right? I mean,
I don't know her.
fair, but she is a part of his ensemble, right?
I was here to learn, give her oration. I perhaps could ask if she wanted to join us.
Why
And he
not?
sort of looks and she's still speaking to a couple more of the individuals. Maybe in a few moments. I don't want to interrupt.
Right. Important business.
That's all right. I'll go and listen in. And Kuda does that thing that nerds do at conventions, where there's someone that they want to talk to and they don't want to interrupt, so they just stand there and like stare, waiting for an opening.
What I do.
Yeah, like everyone does it. Everyone has a time when they do it. There's someone you want to talk to at the con, but they're busy talking to somebody, and you don't want to cut in just to say hi and bye, so you just stand there and like wait.
Yep, and
she does that.
Yeah, and you can hear her sort of finishing up. She's like, well met to you all. I will see you bright and early tomorrow. Now, do you all know how to get to the Eventide Citadel? You can't miss it. And they're just like kind of shaking their heads, kind of in awe. All right, bright and early. We'll see you there. And she goes to sort of turn and almost bumps into you. And your sort of small stature as a small turtle. Hello there. Is there anything I can do for you, miss?
Oh, good evening, sir. I was so enthralled with your speech. Do you partake in the drinkings?
On occasion.
Is tonight an occasion? My friend lads over there were hoping to have a word and introduce themselves to you.
And Cooter sort of points, and you see Nixara sort of turn over and look. And Zildjarn is just like puts his hand up, like, oh man, like
I'm like doing the same thing.
I see. Well, you have met Initiate Zildjarn. I'd be more than happy to join you in your company and tell you more about the Elysian Watch.
Oh, wonderful, lovely chat, Piers, by the way. And she like waddles on over back to the group, and then like just looks at Hayden and like winks at him. She's like, I am the winged turtle of the century.
And she sort of points over to the barkeep, and she says, she just kind of points at her. She goes, got it. Knows what she wants exactly, and she sort of comes over, and she's at this time she brings out sort of a bowl of stew for everyone. You all have your various drinks. It looks like she had just picked like an ale for you all, and then you see a few moments later, like she jumped it right ahead of the line, is a nice like a cocktail in a tumbler glass over for Nixara, and it sort of have like these reds into purples and oranges, sort of like a gradient in this like mixed drink.
Oh.
Well, I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry.
Miss me? I'm Cooter Loggerhead. Pleasure.
Well met. And your friends, pleasure to meet you all. And you see you've met Initiate Zildjarn.
And I grabbed Zildjarn's shoulder. It's like, you've got yourself quite the catch here. He's a true legend.
Well, he does hold quite a bit of promise, this one. Quite devoted. And he's been a great student, I can honestly say. So, and she goes to Zildjarn, and she raises her drink in sort of a toast, and to new friends.
Cheers.
Yeah. And she takes a sip and sort of puts it down. Zildjarn says, oh, you're too kind, Watcher. I'm just doing the best I can and doing what I believe is right.
Well, I've only just met, and I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I'd say he's definitely an honorable chap.
Indeed. And you can see here,
Hayden, by the way.
Hayden, pleasure to meet you. And she sort of had these piercing, like bright lavender eyes. And her sort of silvery white hair is pulled back into sort of two braids in the back, probably to make it easier to put a helmet on and off if she were to wear one. As she's sort of in this tavern wearing plate, sort of playing the part. Well, is there anything that you all would want to know about the Elysian Watch? I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if you caught some of my oration. But please, I'm here at your service.
Oh, well, I mean, why not kick back and relax a little bit? You know, catch some R&R before you head back on duty.
Azric,
Yes.
are there any defining features that people would be able to notice that you might keep hidden, or maybe, change shape away from that would sort of key in people to let them know that you are an ASMR? What are sort of those characteristics that maybe someone would notice?
My eyes are a possibility giveaway of how I don't really have any pupils.
Mm-hmm.
And I have kind of like pauldrons, but with feathers. So feathers may stick out of my vest. So it might be noticeable.
Are you hiding any of these features at this point?
Is it growing on your skin, pauldrons?
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Cool.
Maybe because I've had a drink or two, I'm maybe a little more relaxed. So
Yeah.
if it peeks out, it peeks out.
All right.
Why did I just get a deja vu? You're saying that.
I'm talking about my feathers, okay?
Again, Azric? God, keep it in your pants.
So the Watcher sort of is introduced to you all and sort of looks like into your eyes and then sort of keys onto your shoulders. Very perceptive, she is. Pleasure to meet you all, and I can see that we are, well, Azric, you are touched by the gods. Is it bold of me to ask of which of those bestowed you with this blessing?
Oh, I mean, it's not all that special, really.
It is quite special, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Quick for my memory, has Azric revealed to us before that he's Azamar?
You've seen my feathers. I've been naked in front of you guys quite a bit.
That's true.
That's true.
And he's got creepy eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
It just wasn't something we particularly
locked into.
Yeah.
But this society does. And she says, if it's not too forward, I am curious.
Oh, well. It was the Lotus King.
He nods. Fortuitous. We are awaiting our celebrations of the full moon here in a few days. As some of you all may know, the High Warden, the Dawn, is also one of those that are blessed by the Lotus King himself.
Yes. Unfortunately, I've misplaced my rope, so sadly, I'm afraid that I will miss out on getting one of the blossoms.
Oh, you're one of the Order?
Yes. Or since I was a wee lad.
See, I do apologize. I haven't seen you around here before. And Zildjarn kind of cuts in, and he's like, well, I grew up with this one, and he's been gone for quite a while, but maybe he's going to be coming back into the fold. Maybe seeing what the world has to offer and realizing that everything he needs is here.
Yes, he did say on our travels quite a few times. I believe you wouldn't stop complaining, Azric. You just said, this sea life isn't for me. I need to go back and do flower stuff.
Thank you,
It
Kuda.
was very specific. Yes.
Yes, as you could tell, Kuda, what she's saying is I've shared many stories of my time here at Escos and the Lotus King.
Indeed. Hayden, with your passive insight, do you realize what Ziljarn has just done is kept Azric from telling an outright lie? He's basically filled in the gaps for him, so Azric wouldn't be directly lying to this person. Trying to, I don't know, it seems strange. Maybe he didn't want Azric to lie to someone, so he's filling in the gaps so it's not a lie.
Okay.
Well, I see that it's good to have you back. I'd be very interested in hearing about your travels and what you've done since then and what's brought you back into the fold of the Lotus King. I'm sure that the Order would be most welcome to see you.
Well, so John did mention something that I think is rather more pressing, is the missing shipment of fueling goods.
Yes, there have been reports that a small portion of the cargo that was exported here has gone missing, and the crew has reported that pirates were to blame for this. As well, you all know, as you have traveled here, the waters of the Pinnacle Depths aren't exactly safe. The pirates are becoming more bold and brazen, it seems. I'm not sure why. Now, perhaps if the Divine Order of Conservancy maybe stepped it up a little, it'd be a big help.
You know, now that you mention it, we really haven't run across one of the number for some time. I mean, we found ourselves on Rosenden, and not too long ago, we saw some of their order there, but outside of that, nothing.
Well, Rosenden is where I wouldn't call it the base of operations, but it's where most of them seem to gather most of their efforts. Occasionally, you'll see some come through Escos, and the Watch doesn't necessarily see eye to eye with the Divine Order, especially in their charge of keeping anything out of the mouth, where we believe that there could be much to be learned about the site of the catastrophe, and perhaps even prevent one from happening again. But I believe, as well as my rest of my order of the Elysium Watch, believe that sealing off such an area only makes us ignorant. It keeps what learnings that could possibly be weaned from that area a mystery to everyone else but them. So now there.
I like the way you think.
Well, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but you asked. I'm a little sort of rubbed the wrong way by them. There are rumors that they have a foothold somewhere here in Escos. Bold of them, but it's very hard to, well, catch any nefarious activities they could be doing here. So,
did you by chance catch the... I'm sorry, did you say nefarious?
Nefarious in our definition. I'm not sure what they would need to be doing in secret here. Maybe they seek the knowledge that we have in the Zenith Archive. So as you know, well, maybe you don't know, the real travelers, the Zenith Archive is open to everyone, the public. There are, of course, certain sections that are reserved for the Elysium Watch for our studies and the extraplanar. But the Divine Order of Conservancy, not allowed. If they want to keep their secrets, then we'll keep ours from them.
That seems, if I might say, a little counterproductive.
Petty, a bit. I don't disagree, but if we were to allow them to use our facilities, then they would hold all the knowledge. And that seems dangerous, doesn't it?
Could be, yeah. I will say, of the hunters we've seen, their uniforms are far more bland than yours. That's actually what caught my eye across the room. Hard not to notice a set of fine gear. Are all these custom made for you?
Well, of course, anyone that rises to the rank of a Watcher, being a Paladin of the Lotus King, these are specifically made for us. Now, of course, the Guardians and the Initiates all have their own armor that's made for them, but this is as much of an armor as it is a status symbol of what we believe in and who we are.
So you're quite a big shot. Come on.
Well, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with the ranking structure of Elysian Watch, there are those that are initiates that are learning about all aspects of the Watch. From there, they can choose whether they want to be an archivist or a guardian. And then, of course, those guardians that are willing to be devoted solely to the Lotus King can rise to the rank of a Watcher. Now, as far as big shots, we all have our parts to play. While there are a smaller number of Watchers than there are the rest of the Order, we all know our place. We do what must be done. What best to serve not only the Elysian Watch, but also Escos as well.
Well, you certainly know how to take charge of a room, that's for sure.
That is my place amongst them.
So your primary focus is recruitment.
Recruitment, outreach, education for the youth of the city.
And are you well respected, I assume?
I suppose you'll have to ask someone else about that. Who am I to postulate how much people respect me or not? I can say that it seems as though that when I do speak, people listen. That I can be sure of.
Humble. A little too humble. Everyone should live now and then. Embrace what you've earned.
I'm just playing my part. It's like anyone else. As I'm sure
Yeah.
you all are as well.
Good life.
It's life.
Yeah.
Alive.
Well, I wouldn't know about all that. I'm just a simple hired sailor. Isn't that right, Captain?
I wouldn't call you simple, Aiden. You're one of my highest officers.
True.
That
We would
seems-
be stuck in the middle of the ocean without this one.
It seems I'm not the only humble one at the table.
Well, in present company, I think my station is a little low, but sure.
I disagree.
Ow.
Everyone has their place. I'm sure that to your friends, to your crew, that you're very important.
This is all true, Aiden.
I'd hope so. I'd mean a bit of job security then, huh?
A bit to circle back. This pirate business, did you perchance, or did anyone happen to know what crew was involved?
Not that I'm aware of. From what I understand, the sort of negotiations were short.
Sorry.
And I don't blame the captains one bit. Better to live to sail another day than directly oppose. Just means that perhaps the council should send more escorts, but appears they're a little lacking in that regard.
Well, we've done some escorting before. What was that lad's name again? Kept popping up out of the shadows.
This is what I was telling them. Watchers, perhaps their services could be used for protecting these people that are being attacked by the pirates. Yes, very astute thinking of you, Little John. Quite an opportunity we do have.
Well,
What?
we are looking for work.
It's always good to keep busy, but also, do you know, I have heard that potentially we might be able to do some research in the archives. Should we be sponsored by an archivist? What's the process to apply for that sponsorship?
Well, that is a bit outside of my purview. You may have to speak to an archivist about that, but normally it is... it could be a reward for services rendered. It could be mutual favor. It's up to the archivists and individually. So...
Then she looks at the Dragonborn boy and she's like, your friend you said was looking into becoming an archivist? No? I would love to have that introduction. Maybe they might know more.
Of course, like I mentioned, she's an initiate just as myself, learning in all things about the Watch, but I believe that her ambitions are to be an archivist, so I'd be more than happy to introduce you to her. And I'm sure, not to impose, but someone is learned to you. I'm sure that the Watch would be honored to have someone in service such as with your stature, if you are quite the researcher I'm led to believe.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I trust would be happy to help.
Indeed. And you see the Watcher, Nixar, sort of finishes her drink and she goes, I'm going to call it an early evening. There are many preparations and duties I have to prepare for the festival in 2 days. So it's a pleasure to meet you all. If you ever need anything, you know where to find me, of course, Azric. And for those of you unaware, most of the time if I'm not speaking or orating in the city, I am usually at the Citadel. So more than happy to speak with you again. But to be honest, you really can't miss the place, the Eventide Citadel.
Well, thank you for blessing us with your time. I know you're quite busy.
It's fantastic meeting you.
Let's keep the formalities out of this. I'm more than happy to talk with you all, especially one of us who is coming back to the fold. So that's a pleasure to have you here again, Azric. And safe travels to you all. And she sort of bows and walks out of the tavern and inn. And as soon as she leaves, like the threshold of the door, you see Zildjian just, oh, you are not wrong.
Are you a fan?
She is a big deal. She's so humble, but I'm lucky I get to learn it underneath her.
I know. I have eyes. I'm good at seeing these things.
That you are.
Well, learn all you can, Bill John.
I hope to do so. I certainly hope to do so.
Might we perhaps be able to make that introduction tomorrow?
Of course. I'll be at the Citadel as well if you'd like to. Well, I do need to look into former sister Jacinda. So maybe in the evening, afternoon, I'll be the Citadel. But I will, definitely grant you that favor, Azric. I will try and locate Jacinda and see how she's doing and let you know. See, this works out perfectly. I can spend the morning, making sure she's all right, looking for her, reaching out. And then late afternoon, I can come back and you all can come see me and I can share what I've learned and I can give you the introduction. It's just all going to work out so well.
Marvelous.
This is such a fortuitous evening.
It is indeed.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Well.
All right, then after that, I say cheers to old friends and new alike.
Yes, indeed.
Cheers.
Fantastic.
Well, we've only been here, what? Matter of hours, and we already had drinks with a paladin. 2 paladins, or a paladin to be. Maybe. That's the goal, right?
Zildjian is like, well, I could only hope. I couldn't rise to such ranks. I have a long road ahead of me.
Easy.
I've been led to believe that I will earn my guardianship sooner rather than later, so who knows what's in store for me. But I will take my leave. I'm going to have an early morning. So I will see you all tomorrow. Pleasure meeting you, and glad you're back.
Good night.
Such a great day. Good evening. And he sort of just finishes his drink and then walks out.
Guess that all worked out.
Yes, we have an agenda for tomorrow. So many things to do, many people to meet, lots of knowledge to behold. Shall we turn in, I suppose?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Had a long trip. I do believe we all deserve a night's rest on a comfy bed.
Yes, you two can take the beds. Got me shell that's quite cosy in the air.
All right. Well, good night, Kuta. Don't drink too much.
Oh, no, I'm done for tonight. Besides, Emmy has my bucket.
All right. Anything else that you would like to do, you certainly can. But as far as your tab for the evening, since you had all graciously agreed to front some of that.
Tabulate.
So 10 silver pieces per night at the inn. 8 silver pieces for stew for you all, and then 10 silver pieces for the round. So I think that's going to be like, what, 2 gold, 8 silver? Not a bad bar tab.
Chump change for our captain.
Yep. I'll take it out of the party loot.
All right. And if you all would like, you can spend the evening resting up, taking in the amenities, and looks like the next day is a bit of an adventure for you all.
Yes.
So, with that, I think that's a great place to go ahead and take a break for the evening. So, thank you all for watching and hanging out with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in just a bit. So, go ahead and stretch your appendages, go grab a snack, and we will BRB here in just a few. And welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you have gotten your snacks and stretched all your appendages, and we can be rejoined for the adventure where you all called it a night. Your first night in Escos. It is now the 17th of Quintus, full moon being the next evening, and it is Twins Day. for those that are keeping score.
Wednesday.
Happy Twins Day, my friends, and it's a beautiful day for it. Is it a beautiful day for it? What's the weather like today?
The weather today is a balmy 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, Disha. All right, some
Wonderful.
Celsius on there next time. A little bit of light rain and some light wind. So that would be about like
little
what,
bit of drizzle.
19 or 20 Celsius, I think.
My favorite.
Typical Escos weather.
So I believe we have the morning to ourselves.
That we do, yes. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Cuter?
I am B2. I mean Azric.
Well, since there are some caverns nearby, we do have
Will we
some-
have time to investigate those before this afternoon? I would like to take a peek.
How far would we have to travel to find a cavern with the echoing crystals?
So assuming you woke up at, first light or whatever, he's saying like late afternoon, so like dinner time ish. So let's assume you've got maybe like 10 to 12 hours. As far as caverns and searching for them and whether you're like lucky or not, maybe. It would have to be really a long, pretty close to the city. If you go
I'm
too
not
far,
sure
then
we
you're
should
not gonna.
push it. Is there anything else here that we can... Maybe we should just go to the museum. Take a peek around.
Aye,
Have
we
a
could do
little
that.
looky look, if you will.
Yeah, why not? Let's head over.
Because it's the archive we need our friend for.
Correct.
Oh, I'm so excited. I haven't been to a museum in a millennia. I mean, a century.
So to the Lotus
They're one and
Luminaria.
the same to me.
How old did you say you were?
200 and... you kind of lose count after the first couple, I must say.
I assume
Suppose
so.
you do.
Well, you don't look a day over 125.
Oh, thank you, dear. Well...
Libraries and places of learning in general are not usually my thing, but who knows? This could be interesting.
Well, might find something that catch your eye. Ancient artifacts, weapons, minerals.
This breakfast is marvelous, by the way. This place is 5 stars.
Well, I'm glad you're having a wonderful breakfast, Kuta, at my expense.
Usually for breakfast or for snacking, you have a dish of lotus petals. So crispy, sort of delicate, dried lotus petals served with like a little tangy dipping sauce.
Do they taste as bad as kale chips? Or is it an upgrade?
Oh, they're great.
Marvelous.
Yeah, kale chips are
I'll,
gross.
I'll skip this.
More for me.
Flour is supposed to be like super important to the religion here. But they would fry it up and serve it as a meal.
Well, I mean, it's not that flour. I mean, it is a
Oh, it's a
lotus.
different flour.
Oh, yes, different flower.
I thought it was the same. Makes sense.
That would be insane.
I mean, I'm sure there's a
We
religion
did it,
out
we
there
found
that
one.
has you eaten something important that's supposed to be something important. I don't know.
Yep. What you're seeking is the silver tongue blossom. This is just like a run-of-the-mill like lotus.
Oh,
Which
I think I was
people,
thinking the Lotus King in my head.
Yeah, yeah. But they eat. I mean, lotus have been eaten for like, millennia.
Hayden's
Roots,
not super
petals.
smart with the religions.
Well, whole town's gonna be bustling as it's the day before the full moon, so we should get boogieing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you all are going to be making your way to the Lotus Luminarium, which is sort of a grand museum of ancient artifacts, weapons, armor, minerals, sort of displaying Escos's rich history and its devotion to the Lotus King. The Lotus Luminarium is located in the district known as Lotus Heights. So it's a very fancy museum in a very fancy part of town, sort of where the upper echelon of society tend to gather. This is also the place of where the council chambers are, as well as the Twilight Sanctum, are all located in this sort of district. So you can make your way there, going through Dusk Harbor, the Moonlit Quarters, which is like the residential district of the area. You can see off to the side the area known as the Crescent, which is where all the craftspeople and artisans are creating all of these exquisite, jewelries, weapons, anything like that has to do with crafting. As you're going off to the, this would be west if you're going that direction. Off to the west, you can see the Zenith Gardens, which is really just sort of this, like a tranquil district where like scholars, sages, artists will sort of gather. It's just like a nice, like, think of like a giant like park type district where there are sort of exotic plants and things. It holds the Garden of Equilibrium. It's like a botanical garden. It's also where the Zenith Archive is located, so a separate building. So you sort of make your way through, and then you arrive in Lotus Heights, and you see this Lotus Luminarium with its pearlescent sort of facade on this building. You can see there's two large towers with some sort of glow at the peaks of them, giving off some light. Not as noticeable during the daytime, but it is illuminated in the evenings. And you've got sort of high vaulted ceilings as you enter in this place. These high vaulted ceiling columns. You can see sort of a young attendant, a young halfling man, and he goes, "Oh, hello there, welcome to the Lotus Luminarium. If there's anything I can help you with, please, by all means, let me know. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help. This is open to the public. Anyone can come in and see any of the artifacts or any of the minerals and things that have been collected. I do ask, for your own safety, please do not try and touch any of the exhibits here. There are protective wards on these items, and, well, we will be immediately notified, and it could potentially cause harm if you were to remain in the area. So, by all means, look, do not touch. They are quite precious."
Thank you. Noted. We will not touch anything.
Very well. Enjoy your stay. Have a good day. It's like a
Oh,
happy,
thank you.
jovial halfling with like some scruffy hair, clean shaven with his bright green eyes. It just seems like happy to be here. Loves his job, loves working at the museum, and is just happy that people want to come in and learn about the cultures that it has to offer.
This is marvelous. How much is a guided tour?
That is a really good idea. That's a good idea. Maybe I could bring that up. Well, we won't charge anything, but maybe we should have a guided tour.
Oh,
Wow.
yes, write that down. It's a perfect place for it.
We could practice right now.
What would you want in a guided tour? What would you, just extra information or
Like a first-hand experience, education, of course, knowledge, maybe
Maybe a
unique.
focus on the most interesting of the artifacts, anything that's quite unique and precious, rare stuff. So it's the stuff that makes me excited to be a scholar.
you are I'm so happy that you're here. A scholar. What is your area of study?
Oh, everything. Rocks, plants, tinkering tools, weapons, artifacts. Great many things I've learned in my centuries on this land. I just like to learn and learn and learn all the things.
Wow. Well, do correct me if I am not precise enough in my explanations with such an esteemed scholar as yourself. But I suppose I could try a guided tour. Well, very well. Follow me.
Oh, wonderful. And she takes out her notepad and just ready for all the notes.
Yeah. So you sort of go through, and he takes you through a side chamber where now there's just normal rooms, no more vaulted ceilings, but you've got like marble floors. It's like an exquisite piece of just an exquisite building. I'm trying to think of the word, and I can't think of. That's okay. Architecture. Exquisite piece of architecture. There you go. And the first thing that you see is sort of a small statue of the Lotus King that's about like as tall as Hayden is, maybe a little bigger. And he goes, and here is the original statue of the Lotus King when the this is kind of a lot. This is so exciting. When the Twilight Sanctum was first constructed, as you all may know now, there is of course a new grander statue of the Lotus King that is made of Twilight Moonstone. But this is sort of the first, just made of marble. But we keep it here as a reminder of where we all started. And you can see that there is this sort of normal height statue of this figure, and it's a humanoid, but ethereal like. You can see that this humanoid is like veiled in this sort of flowing enigmatic robe that sort of like seems to ripple like it's made of like liquid shadow. It just makes it very hard to discern the exact contours of the Lotus King's figure. His visage is obscured by this sort of flowing mane of hair that sort of cascades over his shoulders and is purposefully obscuring the facial features. And you can see that there is sort of an intricate halo made out of the same marble that sort of has this like simple crown about it. And there's really like nothing remarkable about this statue, but just from seeing it, you can realize that who knows how old this thing is. Very primitive in how like today's architecture, sculpture would be. So it seems almost like it was the first pass, the first time they tried to do this, and then they displayed it into this temple.
This is fantastic. Has anyone ever seen his face?
The Lotus King.
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of. One would be so blessed to have a personal connection with him.
Oh,
What?
wow.
Entirely possible.
Do you hear that, Hazrick? A personal connection. Wow.
Yes.
Do you have
yes.
any exhibits here on the lotus blossoms? What were they called again? No, not lotus blossoms. Silver blossom.
Oh, the silver tongue blossom?
Yes, those.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. It'll be part of the new tour, I'm sure.
Fantastic.
And here we have, what's remaining of an original piece of one of the stained glass windows, of the, we're not sure, one of the original temples, here, that, quite frankly, is believed to predate the catastrophe.
Wow.
And you can see that this, like a piece of stained glass that was almost like ripped apart, and is just sort of a portion of it. And you can see that it sort of depicts an eclipse. And you can see that there is like a bright sort of almost white and yellow, smaller heavenly body, a larger, cooler, like an orangish one, and then a third that's sort of a much smaller. It almost has like a light blue hue to it. Very strange. You're not exactly for sure what it's trying to depict here, because it's not the sky that you know.
What do these symbols mean?
Oh, well, not exactly sure. Some people think it's sort of a concentric circle that's perhaps devoted to some deity. Some people have postulated that it could be different worlds from beyond. Who can say? Maybe it's some sort of grand eclipse of some kind, or a planet's aligning. But who knows?
Oh, wow, fantastic. My, I wonder if they have any information on this in the archive. Can you imagine?
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, yes, it would. Yes, it would.
And then he sort of leads you along, and there's sort of a mannequin made of stone with some sort of robes on them. And these, we believe, could be part of the same peoples that were, maybe belong to the stained glass. But these are believed to be perhaps some sort of cleric's robes. They are, of course, meant to depict a night sky with the dark purples and blues, with sort of the speckling of stars here. Unsure if this is pre or post catastrophe, but quite old indeed. Maybe from, who knows? Much of these, unfortunately, these artifacts information are lost with the sands of time. Of course, you all know that anything that does predate the catastrophe is, almost impossible to trace back its meanings or the cultures or people that belong to.
It's shocking to think it's still here, actually.
And it is quite a lucky find, indeed. And he sort of leads you on, and this is sort of a more of a sort of showing of different like weapons and artifacts and things. And he points out one blade in particular, and this is sort of a long sword with a sort of silvery hilt with very decorated and ornamented sort of crossguard. And this long blade, it doesn't look like it's made of any metal that you have seen. It is very strange indeed.
And Kuda, like, elbows Hayden a little bit. Look, pointy things.
Yes, quite.
Isn't it
Fascinating.
marvelous? It's fantastic.
Looks expensive.
Well,
Who wielded such a thing?
this blade is to be believed to have been forged post-catastrophe. It's believed that before the mouth was, of course, sealed, that there were various minerals and artifacts that could not be found anywhere else. Who knows why or how they came to be, but it is believed that this blade itself is maybe formed from some of those minerals. While it's been immediately protected, no one has wielded it in modern times. We could only postulate the sort of warrior that would wield some sort of a blade as this.
Oh, this is what I've been looking for.
It's very
Not
weapon.
specifically, no, but the minerals that they mention, that's been part of my research, was to trace those back and kind of see where in the world they've ended up, because I have found just trace amounts somewhere before. So there you go, that's part of my research, why I'm here. It's just so fantastic learning all these things.
Well, there's also this, and he points out like a pendant with like a strange, like large cluster of crystals in the middle. This is to believe to be some sort of arcane focus that may have belonged. Well, we believe it could be pre-catastrophe. It's impossible to date this, as we're not unsure of what the crystal's made of. But this sort of thing would have been wielded by some sort of powerful arcane spellcaster. Very dangerous, of course, which is why we have the protections here, but fascinating indeed. And of course you have here, and there's a large aegis, like of a shield with like a shimmering material that is inlaid on the front of it. This is to be believed to be a shield from one of the first of the Elysian Watch. From when, if we are to believe, that extraplanar sort of dangers were more prevalent in the world after the catastrophe.
Fascinating.
Well, perhaps this blade could have been wielded by one of those. We're not sure, but you can see, and he sort of points out, like, it's not exactly the same as the emblem that you saw on the Watcher's cloak, but it is sort of a lotus flower with like some filigree things that are sort of inlaid into this like opulescent sort of front of the shield. All right, and he kind of leads you along, and then it has an exhibit with an actual piece of the Elysian Watch, like a full suit of it, and sort of has descriptions of all the significance of the armors and what things mean. It has like a full suit of the basically the town guard of Escos. And these don't look like they're ancient artifacts. They're more like informational pieces where they got like a piece of that armor and just use it to like teach people that sort of stuff. And he sort of leads you on even further, and you can see that on like this pedestal that is even like sort of its own exhibit in itself, that's pushed further back away from this protective layer inside a large like container, and he sort of looks out and just almost like in awe. Every time I see this, it's like seeing it for the first time. This very rare indeed, well, is a starfall prism, and you can see that it's sort of not quite glass-like. In fact, it's quite a shaded like glass type material. Think of what would happen if for some reason you took a piece of obsidian and a piece of like glass and like, you know, made it a thing. It's like a translucent like dark colored glass looking thing, and you can see the lights are touching off of every facet of this many-sided prism and creating like a myriad of colors that's sort of projected onto the wall behind it, almost like they had like a white wall to like project the colors onto. Now, this starfall prism is believed to have been crafted from the core of a fallen star. Now, how this came to be, your guess is as good as anyone's. But we have been assured by many a scholar that this is in fact that sort of artifact. How it was made, who had it, how it came to be, it is one of life's great mysteries here. But this definitely being the prize of our collection. Indeed.
Are there other prisms known into this world, or is this the only one?
Known to anyone? No. Only one in existence.
This is the only one.
As far as anyone knows. I mean,
yes, as far as we know.
Now, it's not for me to say that this is the only one, but you would think that if one were to be found, or if one was discovered, that of course people would come forward for such a great discovery of our time. But nothing has happened in that regard, so that leads me to believe that this could be the only one in existence. But I can't be for sure.
Fascinating.
How are these things being displayed? Are they behind glass, I'm assuming?
He described like a magical ward that protects these exhibits. This one is even further back. It has its own like sort of dais with like a pedestal that holds this large prism that's encased in like some sort of glass. It seems to be well protected.
Gotcha, okay.
Are there invisible lasers present?
I mean, there's a distinct possibility.
He did say that there was wards and things, so.
Sure. You could have an arcane ward that's a bunch of lasers if you wanted. I don't know. I'm not a wizard.
Do we have to do an acrobatics check to get to this item?
You'll probably have to do a lot more than that, but sure, we can include that too.
In tight leotard.
Yes. And he sort of leads you on, and you can see like an ornate, like silver with inlay, like blue gemstones. It looks like a compass. But for those of you that are trained in sailing or navigation or anything, compass isn't pointing north, which is weird. And he says, this is what is believed to be an astral compass. In times before, it is believed that the Elysian Watch or those that came before them that eventually led to forming this watch actually did cross into other planes. And when they used this to know how to get back home. What's that?
Between planes, you say?
Supposedly.
Fantastic.
Why hasn't anyone used these items today?
What do you mean?
Well, the pursuit of knowledge, to explore the planes.
Well, this is just to guide you back home. You can't necessarily explore the planes with just this compass. That would, of course, require some sort of, some sort of arcane magic that would be entirely too dangerous for anyone to possess. To sort of go between planes. I mean, imagine, what if someone was able to transport you to another plane and leave you there with no way of returning home?
Very scary indeed.
Should one person wield that sort of power? No. Of course not.
What level of do people here perform any of this magic at all? I mean, my understanding is that in some of the other lands we've been in, there are quite strict rules on that. So I'm just wondering what the culture is here around those things, for my notes.
Well, of course, I mean, in of course, the doctrine of Senior Arcanum, that everyone on Escos, as well as most other of the islands must be registered and have very strict duties that they're allowed to perform, tasks to better society and such. But of course, Rosadon, that is without any sort of arcane magic. Magic Cecilia Arcanum is where that derives from. But there are those that provide useful services to the populace here, and they are, of course, have gone through proper training, registration, and such, to make sure that the power does not grow too great, to avoid what happened centuries ago.
Yes, we don't want anything dangerous. They are quite backwards back in Rosadon, though, don't you think?
Well, every one of the islands are self-governing, and if that's what they all chose for that, then that is, of course, their business. Who are we to say how they govern their own lands? So,
yes, true. She just continues writing all her notes.
Mm-hmm. And you can see that there are like various other things, like a list of all of like the chancellors, that were part of Escos, like a history of like prominent historical figures, and that sort of thing. You can also see just, various like clothings from time periods believed to have been belonged to, like, this ceremonial robes belong to like an order of the Lotus Robes from many centuries ago, that sort of thing. Just like typical museum stuff. And he leads you to one item that looks like sort of similar to the crown that was carved on that original Lotus King statue. And he goes, yes, the Lotus Crown. This is to be believed to have been given to the founder. Well, I should say not Escos. Those lands that were before is believed to have been given to the founder and the Lotus King himself to sort of settle these lands. Sort of a direct gift from him. It's like a sort of silver crown with almost looks like a corona, like around, like when you look at the sun. If you were to look at it from like sideways, that's what it looks like.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Indeed.
I do have a question for you, actually. Seeing as you are a museum person, do you have any information here about the local region? For example, have you heard of echoing crystals?
Well, yes, of course. They're a naturally occurring mineral in sort of, tidal areas, caves and such. Nothing necessarily historical in value about them.
I just found them interesting. I was wondering if maybe there were any in the local area for me to have a look at. We were looking to take a day trip, you see. Some echoing crystals, maybe some basilisks.
Sorry.
Yes, we do enjoy some safari times. It's
if I were you, madam, I would not go searching for basilisks. They are quite dangerous creatures.
Well, you've got to live a little bit dangerously sometimes.
Right. Moving on. So there are those tidal caves that are probably maybe a day or two travel that might hold these sort of things. No significant historical value, so it's something that we really explore, but perhaps you could find some there. I would stick close to the coast if I were you. That's as far as I know. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
And there's an exhibit that sort of covers the history of the Order of the Lotus Robes. It has like an example of their robes, like a deep, like twilight purple. It has, it's like a silky and lightweight fabric. It has intricate like silver embroidery with like lotus motifs and celestial patterns. There's a hood, a generous sized hood that fits the same theme. And there is a pendant that's sort of crafted from this like almost like twilight hued like mineral, like an amethyst, that's sort of shaped like a delicate lotus flower. And it goes into some of the their beliefs and like the rituals that they perform, the function of the city. It does have an example of silver tongue blossom, but it's clearly like a recreation. It's not actually that flower, because no one's allowed to have it, and it seems that they haven't gotten one from them to display because it would wilt and die and such. Well, is there any questions you may have? I think, is that a good guided tour? Do you have any notes or?
Oh, it was fantastic. You're a natural.
You're too kind, madam. You're too kind. I'm really gonna take this up with the rest of them and if you all really enjoyed this, I think it's something that we could really incorporate here.
That was very educational. I do have a question, since you're a man of knowledge. How would one preserve a silver tongue blossom? I think you have a replica, not an actual one, but...
Right. Well, they do only bloom during the full moon, so up until then they are, of course, a bulb of sorts. Afterwards, once they bloom, from my understanding, they do begin to start dying. The petals will fall and such. It doesn't immediately decay or anything like that. It's just as soon as it blooms, it immediately just starts to wilt. So, as far as preservation, that's I'm not a sort of a horticulturist or anything of that sort. So, I'm not sure.
Are there any in the area? People more versed in these things?
I mean, you could, of course, talk to the Order. They may have some knowledge, but, not sure.
Oh, this was wonderful. Thank you for the tour.
Of course, of
It's
course.
so fantastic. Wow, time does fly.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the museum. Feel free to come back at any time. I'm happy to answer questions.
I'm sorry, and your name was?
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. Thank you for the much knowledgeable, insightful tour.
You're very welcome.
What a marvelous chap. Thank you so much.
Well, have a great day.
Of course. And he just sort of like doesn't know how to end like the tour. He's never done a tour before, so he doesn't know how to stop. He just nods and then goes back to the front.
It looks like it's getting a little late. Shall we go meet our friend?
Well, before we do that, I would actually like to buy, reluctantly, a new ship bell. Even though it was clear that nothing bad happened. But it's better to raise crew morale.
Yes, better safe than sorry, as they say. By the way, and then Kuta looks around to make sure no one's like around within earshot and just like whispers to Azric, you know what he was saying about no one knowing about the silver tongue blossoms? I mean, the starfall prisms.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I am actually led to believe that mayhaps we might find them in the mouth as well. But I don't just want to throw that information around willy-nilly, you see. It's very dangerous.
Oh, well, a possibility, considering how heavily warded this one is, and it's the only one, I would believe it's rather difficult to try to obtain it somehow.
Yes, but I'm just so curious then if he said that surely this information would be more publicly available. I just wonder how a hermit like me, a humble little hermit, was able to come across it. However, I do wonder if mayhaps there might be something deep in the archives that they haven't let out. So maybe that's something we should investigate.
All right, we'll keep our eyes out. Or open, rather.
Open on the ground and in the sky.
So as you are leaving the Luminarium, you can see like on the wall, there's sort of like paintings of the like prominent figures in society currently. So you can see there's one of Counselor Ilara, who is sort of the High Counselor over Escos. She is a high elf with long silver hair, wearing like intricate robes with like a celestial motifs, sort of these piercing silver eyes are how they're painted onto her. You also see a few others. There is Lara, Tavish, there is Tavish, Lysandra, Valen, Malus, who are other counselors of the other districts. Male tiefling, a female ASMR, a male half-orc, and a female tabaxi are all sort of there with their respective districts. You see a painting of the Dawn himself, High Warden Illyrion, who has like radiant golden skin, silvery hair, these sort of celestial blue eyes. And you can see that he's pictured wearing like a simple like tunic, and there's like a glow emitting from underneath the tunic, almost like a soft ethereal glow.
Oh, what a putz. Can't believe they gave him his own painting.
Well, it is a beautiful painting. Now,
Yeah,
this bell, I think I saw a store somewhere back that way.
Oh, yeah, back at the Drift.
Yes. Shall we mosey on over on the way?
I believe so.
Yeah, let's mosey.
Alrighty. So you are going back over to the Drift to look for a bell in your ship. To replace the other one, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Got to keep that crew in check.
So you can go over to what's called Starhaven Provisions to find some goods there. And there is a woman there who is appears to be a high elf, blue eyes, sort of grayish hair, and is sort of just wearing some simple clothing and tending to the shop. People could easily float down one of the many tributaries to get here. She has things laid out, and there's also sort of a storefront behind her.
Good day, madam.
Hello. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
There is, in fact. I am looking for a ship bell. One to notify the crew, like an alarm or get everyone's attention.
Ah. Interesting. You see what I have. And she's looking like in front of her is like just small items that you can put on the water, and then she sort of gets up and walks across a couple of like rafts and then goes into the storefront. Sort of rummages around for a bit, and she brings out sort of a bell that's maybe like yay big. Looks like it's made of silver, has like some intricate like carvings in it. And she goes, I do have this, an exquisite piece. I would charge you 2 gold for it. It is real silver.
Does silver fare well in the salt air and ocean?
What's that?
How does silver deal with the salt ocean and just like, does it erode?
As long as it's well taken care of, it shouldn't be an issue. Anything else like metal on your ship?
Is it sterling silver?
But you do see as you're looking closely at the intricate inlays of this are basically like a mosaic of like the Lotus King and his teachings around this bell.
Do you have anything more? I wish I should say this. Simpler, maybe not as so ornate.
One moment, and she goes back, and rummages for a minute and comes back out, and she's holding a couple different things. She has like a bell set of like different like musical like bells made of like brass. She has a large like wind chime type sort of thing. I have these. Oh, I don't know if this is what you're looking for. I mean,
no, not particularly.
If you're looking for a sort of a custom like piece, sort of, you might try down in the Crescent, perhaps. You can commission someone to make a bell for you. Don't know how long it would take. I don't know if it'd be more or less of the same. But I do have this one. It's right here, and I think it will fit your purposes.
I think it's probably better if I get it commissioned. You know, I'm not looking for something, just buying something to serve a purpose, such as notifying a ship crew that there may be danger or to get everyone's attention.
All right.
It's a little too fancy for our crews, what
$1 gold.
he's saying.
1 gold. I'll sell it to you.
How much would it cost to commission usually?
I have never commissioned a ship's bell. I would assume that. Well, I don't know actually. It could vary based on materials and whether it's a rush job or not, and who you go see. So it could range from a gold or a few to several. I depends on your preferences, I suppose.
I think it's. I think I'll go to the shipyard. Thank you. They might have what I need.
6 silver. The lowest I'll go is 6 silver, and it's yours. You won't have to wait. You won't have to commission anyone. It's
Can
a
I
great
have a
deal.
look at this bell, or just want to have a closer look at it?
Take a look. Yes.
Can I investigate it and just see if there's anything sus?
Nothing suspicious about this bell at first glance, but give me an investigation roll.
Oh, that's a 7.
A 7.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's nice. Yeah.
this bell. I mean, it's
a bell.
It's finely crafted. The artistry is top notch. You don't see anything wrong with it. You're not sure why Azric doesn't want it. Like, this thing's to steal at this point.
I mean, it's a bell. It looks like a bell. And she rings it. Sounds like a bell.
Nice hearty ding-a-ling coming from it.
6 silver sounds like a bargain.
I mean, it's barely
You know
more
what?
than the cost of materials.
How about I spot this one, and if we find a better one later, you can grab that too.
Very well. Not
All
gonna
right,
find
awesome.
much.
I'll buy this one. 6 silver, you say?
Fantastic. Yes.
Marvelous.
And she happily hands you the bell and takes the silver. Is there anything else that you're looking for that I could perhaps help with?
Pickaxes?
Oh. Let me see. And she sort of comes back in, and it's just like, it's almost like a back and forth. She's like hopping across a couple rafts, digging around in like this hut that she has behind her on the storefront.
Brings back a pickaxe with the Lotus King on it.
And she comes out, she's like, and she pokes her out. How many were you needing?
Just 1 or 2.
Right. And she comes out, and she's holding 2 in her hand. And one is a bit smaller than the other. Like, I do have 2. Miner's pick. They are worth 2 gold apiece. That is standard rate. And she has a smaller one. Like, this was made for smaller folk, so everything gnomes, or perhaps like your friend here, and points to Cooter. Easier for them to wield. So 4 gold pieces, and you have 2 miner's picks.
Okay, very well. I'll take them.
Perfect. And she hands them over to you. I got those in a sort of swap with traveling merchants. So for 2 twists that I had them.
A swamp? Interesting.
A swap, yes, a bartering agreement.
A swamp. Apologies.
Yes. No, not a swamp. Who would mine a swamp?
Exactly. That's why I was intrigued. All right. Well, I think that's all we need. Thank you.
Of course.
I wouldn't mind. Do you know where there might be someone selling some of your coolers? See, mine keeps slipping out of my hands and whatnot when we need it most. It might be nice to upgrade it somewhat.
Upgrade. Define upgrade. Now you can of course get one in the Crescent. Someone would make one, a weapon of that sort.
Oh, wonderful. But perhaps like some better grips so that her like tootsies are just like trying to illustrate holding this like stick thing, and it keeps like falling out of her hands.
You're talking about sort of magical enhancements.
Not so much magical, but maybe a bit of rope, a bit of tape, perhaps.
No, it couldn't hurt to check out this Crescent district. Perhaps you can get a brand new one.
Yeah, so this one is
magical.
quite trash historically, so...
Who knows?
Well, maybe they might make you one that's just better. You're looking for any sort of other like enchantments? That's not my deal. I don't deal in those sort of things. You might have to know someone who collects, or I'm not even sure.
Oh, well, that's wonderful to know, though. Thank you.
Of course. Well, if that's it, then thank you so much for your patronage, and safe travels.
Well, thank you.
As she walks out, Kuta rings the bell. She goes, ring-a-ding-ding.
Yeah, it's loud. It's a great bell for your ship, adorned with Lotus King teachings all over it.
Think on it this way. You won't have to see it. It'll be way up high on the mast.
It's better than
No,
nothing
it's
at this
there,
stage.
Aiden. I'll know it's on the ship. And it's there with the scriptures. Whatever.
No.
It was cheap.
I can make
Made of
some
silver,
modifications myself, perhaps.
Made of silver, right?
Right.
I think you can score up silver pretty easily. Just take a blade to it a little bit, scratch it up, you know?
Because I do have like the right tool for the job, so I could just be like, making some blacksmith's tools, gotta sort this out for
Yeah,
you, no
basically, like,
problem.
It's like a whole day's work of grabbing like a chisel and like hammering out the intricate inlays that are like, this deep in the bell.
But then instead, Kuda will put like, have you seen those like pottery videos on Instagram where they have like the glitter stuff that they decorate the outside? She'll just fill all of the indents with like blue and purple glitter for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, you can spend a whole day doing that at another time to fix it up.
Wonderful.
I'm sure we could trade it up for that. We got it really cheap. It's silver. I'm sure we can make a profit, or at least get a more appropriate bell for our ship.
Well, fair enough if it so offends you.
It does. Now let's continue. I do not want to speak of this anymore. To the crescent.
No worries. To the crescent.
Yeah. So you kind of head back down towards the south, out of the Lotus Heights, and down towards the Moonlit Quarters, and then to the east you can see the Crescent, where it's just full of those just doing any sort of artisan's work. You are looking for basically someone who crafts weapons, and you're just looking for like another Yukulwa, basically.
Yeah, just like one that I don't know if they
Maybe a
I don't know if
spicy one, right?
Hey,
with +1 on it.
So yeah, that's the difference
that'd be
is if you're looking for like anything plus or magical, that's not like something you can go to the store and just buy. You either have to find it in your adventures, or you have to potentially know someone that can like get you an introduction to like someone who might be like, 'cause people who have magical items, they're not like go to the store and like pick one up. It's someone who has more money than they know what to do with and are a collector and are willing to like wheel and deal. Or you could be lucky enough to find someone with sort of the arcane prowess to be able to craft them.
To be able to increase my hit like DC with just like a +10 or something, just to like
Jesus.
just to give me a little bit of a hand, just some sticky tape, to keep it actually in my hands when I roll would be really good.
Yeah, I mean, you could try and locate someone that's like a deals in that sort of stuff, or potentially find someone that has the power to make it. But I mean, if you spend the time and get the right rolls, maybe some materials, you can make them. Being an artificer.
Exactly.
So you could make it if it's just a matter of spending some downtime and spending some money. So you've got to spend time not adventuring to do that.
How would I what would I need for that? Do I know? I feel like I would know that, but as a player, I'm not sure what I need, but I can also ask you after today.
Yeah. So crafting a magic item, or any sort of item, you have the tools available. You're an artificer. You can make it happen.
Okay.
And basically, it's determined by like the sort of rarity of the item, whether you can make it or not, and how much time and money you basically sink into it. So you would need like raw materials that would be worth half of the items, like, cost. So it's a thing that you certainly can do. Magic items take a longer process, might take some materials that you might need to find, but it's certainly doable, and you're more than capable of doing it. So you could, you could research a formula to come up with it. That's all within your purview for sure. And we can kind of do
my
the
side quest to make me more versatile in combat.
Yeah. So just for like a rough like estimate, like if you were trying to make like a common magic item, it might cost you like 50 gold pieces worth of like materials and take you a week, and you might have to go get some extra like special stuff, some special sauce for it, right?
Cool.
For like uncommon, it's going to be a little longer. It might cost you more. You have to get some other things, that kind of stuff. When you get up to like rare, that's when it's like, holy shit, you're spending thousands of gold and taking months to make things. So yeah, either, but it's like just like a +1 like weapon. You could probably do that if you had the right materials and right workspace and some time.
Yeah, cool. Okay. We will discuss that at a later date, logistics wise.
Yeah.
Does anyone else need some weapons?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm all right.
Yeah. So if you're like perusing down, looking at the crescent, and kind of in your mind, could you're like, I can do this. Like, why would I spend money on this? Like, I could just do this. Like, why waste the gold? Just give me some time.
Have you seen my fishing rods? Best in the land.
I think your memory is a little bit different than mine, Cuda.
Imagine if I had to roll to upgrade my ukulele.
There are rolls involved.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it'd be like an Arcana roll and some of that stuff of getting formulas and all that stuff. But we'll get into the crunchies later.
I'm actually excited for that. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Thank you.
Of course. So with that, you've been kind of, doing a little walkabout in the town. It's getting later in the afternoon, and you know that at some point you're supposed to meet your buddy, Zinjarn.
Old mate. Yeah.
All right.
At the Eventide Citadel.
Go ahead there.
Alrighty. So you take a turn to another district of Escos. And the Eventide Citadel is also in Lotus Heights, since it's built in the same area, or excuse me, the Zenith Gardens. Too many names. In the Zenith Gardens, so it's in the same area as the Archive, because the Citadel is sort of where most of the warrior type folk spend most of their time. The Zenith Archives, where the archivists will spend some of their time. So you head over to the Zenith Gardens, beautiful landscape, and then there, sort of at the ends of the district, you can see both locations where the Eventide Citadel is like this grand, like towering fortress constructed from like this dark stone, and it's contrasted with silver accents. It's got multiple spires and towers, and they're illuminated with like enchanted lanterns in the top that sort of emit this soft light. And it's surrounded by like a sprawling courtyard that sort of blends directly in to the Zenith Gardens district. And as you would know, Azric, being from the area, the center of the Citadel, the heart of it, is the Hall of Elysia, which is sort of this vast chamber where the who's who of the Watch will convene. And then, of course, close by is the Zenith Archive. Similar in construction as far as the materials, but less of a fortress and more of sort of a building that would be esteemed for knowledge. You've got similarities between the Luminarium with the vaulted ceilings. You've got sort of stained glass windows and such. A couple of tall spires here, but a steeply pitched roof. Sort of a inviting large double doors that are just constantly open as members of the public are allowed to come in and out. But you arrive at the Eventide Citadel in the courtyard, and you can see your buddy, the Jarn, is there, and is sort of, looking, kind of expecting. And he sees you, he's like, Oh, good to see you all. I'm so glad you could make it. This is the Eventide Citadel in all of its glory.
St. John's, very good to see you again.
Of course.
It's beautiful. What a marvelous place.
So, right down to it. We have lots to discuss, I'm sure. I did not locate, Jacinda. But I did speak to some people that perhaps may know what she is doing or where she might be. Apparently after she renounced, the order, she decided to, of course, go on her own, and it's said to maybe have opened a sort of a herbalist, apothecary sort of shop. I looked into the Crescent. I didn't find anything there, and unfortunately that was most of my day. Perhaps it's the Dusk Harbor, perhaps, I mean, really, I wouldn't think it'd be in the Moonlit Quarters. Maybe it's outside of the whole city. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, well, at least, thank you for trying, at least.
I'm sorry that I couldn't give you more concrete information, but if I do hear anything, I'll be sure to try and relay it back to you as long as you're still in the city.
Yes, please, very much would like that. But we're here to meet your friend.
Yes, of course. Well, we can go over straight to the archives, the Zenith archives, and I'll see if I can run into her. I believe that her rounds are there as part of her training, so perhaps we'll get lucky, and we'll see.
I hope no one minds us interrupting.
It's open to the public, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, fantastic.
Alrighty. Well, follow me. It's just across the courtyard here. It's not too far of a walk.
Excellent.
And he sort of leads you over there. I mean, in the Zenith Garden, it's like, this is just a beautiful, like, atmosphere. Very well kept, very well tended. Sort of hedgerows and exotic plants and such. Magnificent. And you make your way over to the Zenith Archive, and he leads you in. Vaulted ceiling, vast, grand room, wall-to-wall bookshelves of whatever your heart may desire. You can see many local people. There are children there with their parents looking through various books. There are those like studying, and he spots someone. He goes, there she is. Tessa is her name. If you would follow me. And he leads you over to a young halfling woman. She's got these auburn hair, these sort of twinkling green eyes, and she's wearing sort of plain like robes. Sort of a slight contrast to Zenjarn is sort of wearing like more plain armor, sort of a distinction in sort of what their specialties are going to be when they finally reach the next stage of their training. And she looks and goes, hello, what? Zenjarn, I see you have friends. Hello. And she looks like the kind of person that her mind is running a mile a minute. Is always panicking about something, it seems like.
A little like Emmy?
Yeah, you could definitely draw a comparison for sure.
You'd really get along with one of our friends.
Oh, that's quite nice. Not a lot of time for leisure, but maybe one day.
Oh, as my friend Zinjan tells us that you're initiate archivist here?
Yes, I am. Been a couple of years. Maybe one day I'll be an archivist. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I'm working really hard, and that's why I have no time. I have to study quite a bit. Tessa, my friend Azric here, and his friends Hayden and Kuta wanted to meet you. Miss Loggerhead is quite interested in the Zenith Archive and is doing some amazing work and research of her own and wanted an introduction. Maybe you could.
Oh, yes. If you have any contacts at the archives, I would love to be acquainted.
Well, I'm at the archive, and I'm still training. But I can answer any basic questions you might have, and yeah.
What questions did we have?
I thought you wanted to.
Oh, yes, that's right. But I was told that there was perhaps a restricted section of the archives. Do you know who I might talk to about that? The sponsorship process, that's right.
I'm not allowed in the restricted sections. So I can't sponsor you. Why do you want to go there?
Oh, we just have so much research to do. You know, we just went to the museum. Wonderful place. So many amazing artifacts that I wanted to learn more about, which, to my understanding, that knowledge isn't particularly open to the general public, but we apparently had a good word put in for us, so we were simply trying to, I guess, find someone to discuss that with further, and you seemed the closest we could find thus far.
Well, that's the thing is you are the general public and you're not allowed back there. So you have to be an archivist or a member of the Watch to reach the restricted sections. Unfortunately, now I know that some people have been sponsored by archivists, or even, well, I have known the head archivist or the master archivist to have sponsored people, but
Mr. Thalgrim, that's his name, correct?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I know that, well, my the person that I'm learning under, Archivist Silvari, she has also sponsored people, but I don't know if I'm in a position to ask her to do that.
We certainly wouldn't ask you to do that, but I would love to ask her myself.
Okay. I'm assuming you have a really good reason that you would be more than happy to share with her.
She leans in, Kuta leans in, and she goes, "A reason that could end time."
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sure. Okay. So yeah, maybe you could talk to her. Maybe you could work something out. I have no idea. Archivist Silvari, and she's like looking around, and you can see, that there is an Eladrin, woman. The sort of arms are crossed, and is leaning against a shelf, just staring at Tessa, and looking at her. And she sort of has this subtle, like, light brown hair that always seems to be sort of moving, almost like there's a slight breeze. But you can see from here, it's not too far away, her eyes are sort of like the color of like orange or autumn, and they're sort of like trending towards red. It's almost like her eyes are changing colors. She looks very annoyed.
Is that her?
Oh, yes, that is Archivist Silvari. I'm so sorry. I do have to go. I have to get back to my duties, but I'm sure she'd be so happy to help you all out. Nice meeting you.
Well, yes, thank you. Good luck to you.
Yeah, Zilacharn, thanks for introducing me with your friends. I do have to go, though. Bye. And she just it's like almost skitters off.
Well,
very high strung.
Yes, panicky little one. Probably needs some good herbs.
Well, that could have gone better. Tessa appears to be under quite a bit of stress.
It's understandable.
If let me know if you need anything else. You'll know where to find me. I do have to get back to the Citadel, but I'm glad I could at least make an introduction and give you a point in the right direction. So,
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's all we wanted. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
good to see you all. Just come visit or something. It'll be great.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right. See you. And he sort of walks out, makes his way out of the archive.
Well, I see two possible paths forward. One, we somehow get in the good graces of the archivist over there. Or they did mention having the sponsorship of a watchman. We know one now.
Well,
So-
yes, that's why I did think that was quite odd, I suppose. You don't know what you don't know, right? And she doesn't know that we've met our old mate yesterday, so...
So, correction is that the Watchers are allowed in the restricted areas. Only archivists can sponsor someone that's not in the Elysian Watch. So if a high enough rank in the Watch, you can come and go as you please. But since the archivists are the stewards of Zenith Archive, they're the
we
ones
need their
that...
permission to go into
Yes.
Google stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Good point.
Never mind. I see one.
My hope is potentially if we make Silvari's acquaintance that we might barter our services perhaps and gain ourselves a sponsorship. Perhaps we can even talk to the Master Archivist himself. Who knows? I mean, doesn't look like the most friendly of sorts, so we'll have to be quite careful. And I'm not the most charismatic of turtles, I admit.
So as you're in your little huddled discussion, you hear a voice almost from like the other side of the hall. It's someone like awkwardly yelling across the room at someone they might know. And you hear, "Go to Loggerhead." Oh, it's been quite some time. And you sort of turn and you see an elderly gnome with a very well manicured sort of like mustache with twirls and like a little pointy goatee, wearing clothes way too expensive to be like walking around in. And Cooter, you immediately recognize this person as Sylvanor the Scholar. He is sort of a mop of unruly hair, has some spectacles, always seen with like a parchment and quill in his hand. One thing that you know about him is he's an asshole. And he has publicly refuted some of your findings, some of the things that you've researched. And he has denounced you as basically like a wannabe like scholar. He thinks you're a fraud, essentially.
Oh, not this dropkick. He's the worst of our scholar friends. Oh, Sylvanor, fancy seeing you here.
Well, I go where the knowledge is, and this is where the knowledge is. And I see that you are brushing up on your knowledge, as you should. Some of your opinions are just laughable.
Well, you know what they say, the earth is flat.
What are you
Just kidding,
doing
they don't
here?
say that. That's what you think they say, but they don't.
Well,
I'm just here to learn more, Sylvanor. There's always a pursuit of knowledge. Science is trial and error, sir.
well, hopefully you don't share any of your learnings anymore, because you're so easily refuted. Your postulations.
Oh, just you wait.
Listen, I'm going to make it my mission in life to be a point of friction for you. Your postulations about the catastrophe, your sort of musings to yourselves about the mouth are dangerous and ill-advised. Someone of any sort of standing and stature in the respected academic community wouldn't spew such nonsense. Now, since I put you in your place, I've heard very little of you, and I'd like to keep it that way.
That's just how I like to live my life. Alone, with the only thing that cares about what I have to say is me.
This is all happening right in front of us, right?
Oh yeah, he is brazen and he is speaking loud enough for anyone who cares to listen
He's
to
an
hear it.
asshole.
Hayden will step up next to Cooter and try to tower over this guy.
He looks up at you. One of the people of the earth. The normal folk. What can I do for you?
I'm gonna bend down and get nearly face to face. You know, there's other things that are just as dangerous as the whole, right?
Oh, do tell.
We're looking at it.
You really renting violence to Silver nor the Scholar? Please be my guest. Do your worst. I would love to see them throw you under the council chambers for laying a thin little finger on my head. You're more than welcome to try. I don't fear those that go towards violence because, in your mind, that's the only thing you know. You're just a hammer. And when you're a hammer, all of your problems are just solved by thinking everything else is a nail.
And you seem to think that everything that can solve your problems is money.
It certainly does help. Did you catch my last publication, Mrs.
No, it
Lockerhead?
seemed to have gone right past my heart.
Well, I am pleased to say that I now have an office.
Right into my outhouse.
Well, I have an office here now, so come by, I'll autograph one for you.
No, I find it rather curious that as a person who's a scholar and seeks knowledge, that you fear to learn from something so mysterious that we could gain so much knowledge from.
I do not fear knowledge. I fear knowledge in the hands of a buffoon, such as your friend, and gestures to Cooter.
Ridiculous.
Do you
no idea
smell
what you're
that?
talking about.
Smells like shit. The bullshit coming out of your mouth there.
Oh, yes, he's full of it.
Insults, violence, insults. We're running the full gamut here.
See, that's the problem with you types. I wasn't threatening violence. I have some very interesting connections, my friend.
Do tell. Who are your interesting connections, my mysterious half-elf friend?
See,
Are they the butcher?
why would I reveal
Perhaps the baker.
my secrets to you? I'll just
Well-
hold them over your head for the time being. I know your name. I know you have
Yes.
an office here.
Are
Makes
they
you
perhaps
easy.
Counselor Hilara? Is that one of your connections? Fame. She's one of mine. Oh, perhaps it's Master Archivist Fulgrim Stoneheart. Do you know him? Because I do personally.
A lot of name dropping to make up the lack of your confidence. It
Your
seems you're
friend.
extruding your arrogance because of your intelligence, or perhaps the people you know, or the money you make. But outside these walls, you are nobody.
Well, that is not true. I am quite somebody in Rosendon. That's for sure. The places that
More
matter.
name
There's a
dropping.
lot right
Oh.
there, doesn't it?
But I do apologize that we offended you with threats of physical and psychological pain.
I
And
can
we will be on our
understand.
way.
I can understand the sort of primal nature to want to protect your friends like they're one of your pack. I meant no offense to you all, just I don't know why you keep such company. So, I'll go back to doing whatever it was I was doing, and hopefully, Miss Loggerhead, you can find some room to fit some sense into that skull of yours.
Maybe you can find some better fitting pants.
Oh,
Sir.
all right, Cuter. You've done enough
Yes.
damage.
God awful ensemble you have, so garish.
Oh, yes. Well, enjoy perusing the public section of the archive. Good day. And he's
Good day, sir.
just saunters off.
You want us to come back later, Cuter, and blow him up?
Oh, the things I wish I could do to that god-awful man.
You know what you could do, Cuter? Is prove him wrong with your publications about the mall, because they are true. I believe
He's
you.
proved me wrong at every turn. That's what we
That's
need
good.
to get into these archives, but you don't understand. The influence he wields is ungodly.
Sounds very local.
Well, that's the thing, Cuter. We lack the knowledge, and all things of science is once new information is provided, things change.
Well, precisely. That's what I tried to tell him, and he just continues to antagonize me. It's like, we publish the information we have at the time, but he's the one who has the resources to further explore those things. So, of course, if I had those resources too, I might have, debunked myself and moved further on with my research, but I just simply couldn't. And now I worry that he's going to get in our way of getting into these archives. We're really going to have to leverage what we can offer.
Physical pain.
Well, perhaps not to him, but maybe with this pirate problem.
Right. If
I
we
don't
do-
think that's something he could do. Always hiding in
absolutely
his office, in his fancy robes, his ill-fitting pants that are too short to cover his ankles.
It is unsettling, yes.
Only slightly.
Well, I believe we've kind of gotten nowhere. And the Moon Festival is upon us.
Yes, it is.
Maybe
Do we still try and introduce ourselves to Silvari given this new situation we find ourselves in?
I don't know what the goal is at the moment, besides gaining knowledge.
We do still need to get into these archives to connect the dots around this Starfall prism, is what I wanted to look at. But also, how might we get some of these blossoms?
Yes, that is the real question.
Yes, that's the most pressing one, isn't it?
And maybe how to preserve it. If the flowers wilt, can you still use the wilted flowers for the spell?
Hmm.
Make an Arcana check.
Can I do one too?
Absolutely. Tell her in a
Fantastic.
conversation.
All right.
Oh, that was. Oh
20.
no. Not 20.
What'd you get?
I got 17.
17. Still respectable. So you all are kind of thinking around this. And knowing the nature of this blossom, regardless of the state that it's in, it should still suffice for an ingredient for the spell scroll. You just have to get it once it blossoms. So the trick is getting it after it blossoms, and then from there you can use
What's
it.
the use by date?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just need.
Because we'll need to get all the other ingredients before it's completely like, or is it kind of like, you know how like when you squish flowers in a book, you can kind of still use them that way as long as we just have. Okay, cool.
As long as you have it.
Yeah, so we should have time then. Okay.
Well, on the day of this festival, wouldn't there'll be several folks walking around, perhaps with these flowers? Maybe we can just nick one.
How skilled are you at the picking of pockets?
No worse than the next man.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about me, you'll know when I'm standing next to you, much less with my paws in your clothing.
I have.
Well, except for that
some
one lady, she
experience.
didn't see me. I am quite small, you're right.
Well, Max, you said these flowers are at the Twilight Sanctum?
Yes. So they are singularly cultivated by the Order of the Lotus Robes. So they are the ones that have the knowledge, the know-how, and the diligence to actually grow things to be able to sprout into a blossom. And on the festivals, when it's the full moon, in reverence to the Lotus King, they give it as an offering to the Lotus King in sort of a ritualistic manner. And once the rituals are over, they're collected, disposed of, kind of, so that no one else possesses them, because no one else can possess them unless they're part of the order. So if you were to pickpocket it, you could get one, assuming the person, would notice it's gone at some point, then that could be a cause of alarm.
Maybe we should scout out the Twilight Sanctum where they're held, how they're cultivated. Get a lay of the land and go from there. Maybe we can steal a bud and put it in a pot, and then during the full moon it blossoms for us, and we're out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, you're right.
Make a nature roll.
Nature roll. 13.
Yeah, 13 as well.
I'll say
Plus
like
7, let's go.
yeah. So for Cooter, you're like, that might work. Like, well, transplanting is like a pivotal moment in a plant when it's more likely to die. But maybe if you were able to, like, be careful, it could work. Azric, as you're thinking about it, like you've seen this place. You were in there. Any attempt that you've seen to try for anyone else to try and grow this, or like it's shot in the dark at best. You better have something to be able to help you do this hopefully have a chance of success. Because just like taking that bulb, put into a pot is a surefire way to make this thing die before it blooms. That's why they're so special. Only the order can grow.
I have an idea.
Do tell.
The woman who raised me when I was an orphan is an herbalist. You may know of a way. Just the problem is we don't know where she is.
Is that the Jacinda you were talking about?
You said it, yes. That Zil John was trying to get information for me. But he did say she opened up shop somewhere We just don't know where inside the town. He didn't find her in the Crescent. It might be in the outskirts of town. I'm not sure. Maybe if we try to inquire amongst the town people about the Nobilis, that might help.
Yes. Where shall we start with that?
I just ask the locals, I suppose.
Well, do they have some kind of infirmary or hospital in the area? I suppose they may get supplies from such a person.
I mean, yes.
That
The-
might be a good place to start.
She turned away from her faith, so I don't see them wanting to work with someone no longer aligned with their views.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Perhaps maybe in the lesser... how do I want to say this? The slums, maybe?
Perhaps. Well, maybe we can go and I can do a little bit of charity work there myself. Need a little bit of a pick-me-up after that situation earlier.
I guess I'm going to roll an investigation, Max, or...
What are you trying to figure out?
Basically, like going to looking for an herbalist shop that came up probably around the time where I left,
Mm-hmm.
or news found out that I was gone.
Yeah, go for it. So you double back, you know it's not the Crescent. You start asking, Dusk Harbor, where there's a lot of different shops and things.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. So some of the locals point you in the direction of the Moonlit Quarters, which is typically where the city's inhabitants will reside. But maybe she's got a shop out of her own house, kind of just doing it that way. There is mention of there is someone that is outside of the Twilight Sanctum that has been known to help those in need if the need arises.
Okay. And these are two different beats or same person?
Different information from different people, so maybe yes, maybe no.
All right.
Yes, question mark?
Yeah, you're talking to, different people. Have you heard of this person? Do you know where this person's place is? But at least you've got a direction on the Moonlit Quarters and
All right.
have an idea of what you might want to do. And quite frankly, you basically have a full day to figure this out, because tomorrow night with the full moon, the ceremony is happening, and once it's done, that's a whole month you gotta wait, unless you figure something else out.
All right.
So with that, I think that might be a good place to stop for the evening. So I hope you all enjoyed watching our game tonight. Lots of new information to be found in the city of Escos. I will say thank you very much for the raids from Old World Charm, as well as Blue Cottage D&D. I try to shout it out in the chat. We're a serious D&D show, so during the game, I try to keep focus on what's going on and be fully immersed. But thank you for supporting us. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please go check out our YouTube. Go support us over there, as well as check out our podcast, or come hang out with us in Discord. Ask us any questions that you want. Talk about whatever you want in there. So with that, I will say thank you so much for watching. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.